It is draft season, and the Super Bowl is upon us. The official order is almost set. And here we are with a mock draft here, post-championship weekend. The Sean Payton trade has went down. The DeMeco Ryans signing to the Texans has went down. And I think it's got a little more clear onto what teams will or will not do going into draft season. Without further ado, let's just hop straight into it. The Bears have the #1 overall pick. And recently there has been a report that the Bears have committed to Justin Fields as their franchise quarterback. That kind of tells me a lot, because why wouldn't they have committed to him a while ago? I feel like they would have and just kept riding with it, because obviously players need development. Nonetheless, I think the Bears go after, obviously, the best defensive players in this draft, either Jalen Carter or Will Anderson Jr. I don't think either one is the wrong pick here, but they're ranked dead last in sacks, I believe, and they just need an edge rusher. Will Anderson is definitely the guy for them, and I think that he will definitely help them out in short order. The Texans also have an easy pick here, and Bryce Young has to be the selection. I don't think there's any other guy that really is going to be at the top as far as who's the #1 quarterback besides Bryce Young. I mean, I don't think there's a question. I mean, CJ Stroud, is he close? Not really. I mean, there was a debate for a lot of the year, but don't overthink this, Texans. DeMeco Ryans gets his quarterback and gets to ride out with him at least for a few years before seeing, if that's a good match. So the Arizona Cardinals, well, the Cardinals are interesting because obviously, they are okay when they have Kyler Murray, but there's just something about them. I think they may have committed prematurely to Kyler Murray, not saying that they should go quarterback here, but I do think, they have some issues, and I think they just need to add talent. And the top guy on the board is obviously Jalen Carter. He's my favorite player in the draft. He's going to go to the Cardinals with this pick. He is a monster. I mean, you just saw it. National championship in the semifinals. I mean, he was just flying around the field. I mean, the guy is definitely going to be a Pro Bowler or an All-Pro at the next level. The Colts have an interesting scenario here, basically because I think that this could be a spot they could trade out of. Along with the Bears, obviously, they're probably going to trade the #1 pick. But I think the Colts could trade out of this, but this is a no-trade draft, so we select here. Now, I look at the top players available: Will Levis, CJ Stroud, Myles Murphy, Tyree Wilson, and Bryan Bresee. I think they go quarterback here. I think they're sick of getting the veteran quarterbacks. This is kind of an easy pick for me, and I will highlight it why later. But it's a little bit because I believe in CJ Stroud a lot more than I believe in Will Levis, so let's not overthink this and go quarterback. That's their biggest need right now. The Seattle Seahawks were a team that we didn't know if they would go quarterback in this draft, and obviously the Denver Broncos have given them a very good, very, very good draft pick here. Could have been higher even if the Broncos would have lost a couple of games there, but I think they just need to add to their defense, because I think that's going to be the mold of the the NFC West, as you see the 49ers have an elite defense, the Seahawks have a good defense. They need to just continue to add to that, and that's why I think the Cardinals are just so far behind. I mean, they just need anything. So I think they go the top edge rusher here, Tyree Wilson or Myles Murphy. I would lean towards Tyree Wilson because the Seahawks are good at developing their draft picks, even their late rounders, and I think that this is going to be the move there. They go with Tyree Wilson, a very productive edge rusher out of Texas Tech. The Lions, they're interesting. I think they're a team that needs a lot on defense. I just think they go best player available on defense, to be honest with you. I don't think it's going to be Myles Murphy, though. I think it's going to be Bryan Bresee. I think they add to that interior defensive line, and I think that Bryan Bresee is going to be the selection to be next to Aiden Hutchinson. And I like Hutchinson a lot. I think they need a guy that's going to be a good run defender. Bresee is that, and I think they will go with Bryan Bresee. The Vegas Raiders, well, they need quarterback, that's for sure, because they're moving on from Derek Carr, but who knows what that situation is going to come out looking like. I think they just need to get an offensive lineman here, And I'm looking at the top tackles. Paris Johnson is here. Peter Skoronski is here. I think they just need one of these two guys. I think it's going to be Paris Johnson. And I say that because I'm not only going off of what I think they should do, but just what, I'm hearing as far as rumors. Quarterback is just kind of too up in the air for me. And for them to commit to a quarterback like Will Levis, I just don't agree with. So we're going to go Paris Johnson here with number 7 overall. The Falcons just need, I believe, just players to build around. And this is kind of a toss-up, to be honest. I don't think they're going to go quarterback. Obviously, they just got Ritter last year. I think they need to give him some time to develop. And he didn't look bad when he was playing. So I think they just need to add some weapons as well to their offense. They obviously have, a guy like Drake London, who they drafted last year in the first round. Now I think they need a guy that they can move around. London's got some size and some speed. I think they now need a guy who can move around a little bit. And even though he's not the top player on my board, and he's not even a top receiver rank, I just feel like the two receivers who really fit the mold the best that can move around, Jordan Addison and Zay Flowers, I think both of those guys could go here. Now, the Falcons do have a lot of holes, so I don't necessarily think they will go receiver. I think they will probably end up going defensive line, maybe even an edge rusher. And a guy I really like here is Myles Murphy. Let's not overthink it. Let's go with Myles Murphy. Keep him in the southeast part of the country. He goes to the Falcons. Watch out for receiver at that pick, though. Now, I'm going off of strictly what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that Tepper is in love with Will Levis. We've heard it for a while now. And I think that, like I said, don't overthink this. Will Levis going to the Carolina Panthers. He's not my favorite quarterback in this draft. I would honestly even put him strictly because of his ceiling below Anthony Richardson. That's not a popular opinion. Anthony Richardson is very raw. He had some accuracy issues, but much like Josh Allen was a rookie quarterback who could not complete any passes as a rookie. All of a sudden now he's a top 3 quarterback in the league. I think Anthony Richardson could get there. Now, the Eagles, I don't know why it says wide receiver need. I don't see any need at wide receiver, especially in the first round. I do think they kind of add to either their defensive line or their offensive line here. I just think that, looking at how they're built, though, I think they just keep adding to this depth. And we saw Hassan Reddick and what he has developed into. I mean, just amazing development by him. I think they just need to go the same route. Lucas Van Ness has shot up the boards, and even though he's not an immediate need right now, why not just keep adding to this elite defense? Like, just keep doing it and, ride it out with, just this young core of players and keep adding to it. The Tennessee Titans probably have the easiest pick. They're either going to go Paris Johnson, who already went off the board here, or they're going to go Skoronski. Build around that offensive line and Malik Willis. I think you need to commit to Malik at least for 1 year, see what he's got. It's Peter Skoronski. He was the top tackle from the beginning of the season, and obviously Paris Johnson has kind of passed him up, but I think he goes right there. Houston at number 12. I'm thinking that when you draft a quarterback young, you kind of want to give him a number 1 weapon. And I think that that's what the Texans will do. They have other needs, yes. But here's the thing. The Texans were interesting this year. They were in every single game. And they ended up just having a bad record. I don't think they were a bad football team, though. But let's just give Bryce Young a weapon right away. And Quentin Johnston, I think, could have been better than what he was actually at TCU. Max Duggan, good quarterback at college, but he just couldn't make accurate throws a lot of the time. So I'm going to go with Quentin Johnston. This is kind of an easy pick for me, and he stays in the state of Texas. Now, the Jets, I'm anticipating that the Jets will not have this pick because I think they're going to try to trade for Aaron Rodgers, and I think the Packers will move on from Rodgers. So this could be the Packers pick, but we're just picking for the sake of picking here. I think the Jets have a pretty good roster right now. I think they have a couple of holes, but I would say this isn't, this isn't like a must pick here. Like I could see them, if they don't trade for Rodgers, trading back. They could do a lot of that stuff. You know, when it comes to tackles in this draft, I wasn't a huge fan of Anton Harrison. I think that Broderick Jones is a little bit better. And I think he's like massive. What is he, like 6'8"? Like, he is absolutely massive. I think that Broderick Jones is the pick here. Like, he is a monster. Why not keep adding to that offensive line along with Mekhi Becton? Just keep adding to that and set up your tackles for the future. The Patriots, always the most unpredictable team. I don't know where they go, to be honest with you. Like, this is a team that could go anywhere in this draft. And in my opinion, I just look at a guy like Michael Mayer, and he just fits what they do. But obviously they have some tight ends right now, so I don't think they will select him. But I think that they add best player available. I think that's just what they do. Brian Branch is there, and he is ranked at the top here, but I don't think they go safety here. I think they might go edge rusher in Nolan Smith, though. Nolan Smith is a solid defensive player. I think that, you know, a lot of teams are going to be drafting edges early because they've seen kind of the payoff. I mean, if you have an edge rusher, even if you're taking a shot on him a first round, those guys usually come around. I mean, they just need to learn technique, NFL technique, going up against NFL talent. I think that's what they do. The Packers, interesting pick here. And they drafted 2 rookie receivers last year. I think they're going to be building around Jordan Love. Why not add a tight end? Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame, good blocking tight end, awesome receiving tight end. Obviously, Bowers coming out next year is going to be the top tight end. I would grade him a little bit higher than Mayer, but Mayer is a first rounder. And I think that adding an offensive weapon for the Packers is probably what they will do. The Washington Commanders, you know, I don't think they go quarterback here. It says it's their biggest need. I just don't see it. I think they just continue to kind of do what they've been doing. Until they commit to an offensive or a quarterback, a young quarterback, they've always gone the veteran route. And they've always done it, even dating back to like when Donovan McNabb was around, when they acquired him and all of these other quarterbacks. I mean, RG3 was the only young quarterback I remember them really committing to, along with Kirk Cousins. But even Kirk Cousins, he was kind of thrust in there because of RG3. Like, it wasn't like he was drafted to be the starter. And yes, he was drafted as a rookie to Washington, but they never really commit to young quarterbacks. It's just not what they do. So I think they're going to just go offensive line here. They could go defense. I could see them going defense strictly because of the division and just shoring up that defense. But I say they go Osiris Torrance out of Florida, a pretty good interior offensive lineman, the best probably in the draft. So I will go with Washington getting Osiris Torrance. Now, Pittsburgh, interesting. This is very interesting because I think that Pittsburgh is a team that could make the biggest leap next year. What do I think they need, though? It's interesting because I could honestly see them even going Bijan Robinson. Call me crazy, but I'm not sure they're exactly sold on their running back group. I don't think they do it, but it would be interesting to see them do it. It's not their biggest need, obviously, but it would just be interesting. Now, looking at what the Steelers need, tackle, linebacker, cornerback. This is kind of a tailor-made fit for one of the top cornerbacks here. I think there's going to be a run on cornerbacks right now, like right in the draft. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. You're looking at a run on cornerbacks. This is just a matter of preference. Witherspoon is good, but I think one thing I love about the Steelers is that they love just football players. Joey Porter is one of the best pure football players, an excellent tackler in college, excellent cover guy. He just flashes on the screen. Joey Porter goes to the Steelers. Easy pick for me. And then we go to the Lions. The run on cornerback continues. Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois. Don't overthink that Lions. You just need to keep adding to that defense. And then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I do not think they try to replace Tom Brady right here because he just did announce his retirement. I think they go best player available. And I think they go Christian Gonzalez. Like, keep adding to this defense. I know they have cornerbacks there, but just keep adding to it because at some point you're going to have to rebuild. This could be a team that is going to be going into a rebuild phase very quickly. And without Tom Brady, what are they? I mean, they're pretty bad probably. So Christian Gonzalez, add to that cornerback depth, and don't be surprised if you see, the Tampa Bay cornerback starting to be cut or moving on from in the offseason, not getting player options picked up, things like that, because they're going to start to go into a rebuild. The Seattle Seahawks, wow, I mean, 2 first-rounders. They have obviously a young running back in Kenneth Walker, and going back up to our first pick, remember we selected Tyree Wilson, an edge, and I think they go offensive line. Why are the Seahawks always picking? Seems like their biggest need is always offensive line. It just always seems that way. And I'm not a huge fan of Anton Harrison. He's not my top tackle, but he's a solid pick here in the 20s. And I think that they go Anton Harrison. Now, I do imagine that a lot of these teams will be moving their offensive linemen around when you're picking tackle at the top of the draft. That's kind of what you imagine, though. If you're picking a tackle, you're assuming that he can play tackle, but you're not afraid to move him around as well. All right, so the Chargers, the team that, gets there every year, and then Chargers going to Charger, right? Especially with Justin Herbert as well at quarterback. An awesome talent, but they just can't get over themselves. They just seem to always beat themselves. And, I just think that you look at receiver, and they're just never healthy at receiver. And you got to think that they're going to add a first rounder again. It seems like they're always doing this. I believe Mike Williams was a first rounder. And then you look at what they have at receiver. They have Keenan Allen. I don't know what round Keenan Allen was. Enlighten me in the comments section. But it just seems like they're always, getting new receivers, bringing them in. And it hurts to say it, but they're probably going to do it again. And looking at who's available, I really like Zay Flowers a lot. He is an awesome route runner. He kind of reminds me of Keenan Allen a little bit, actually. So I think they go with Zay Flowers. I like what he brings to the table. He is a solid receiver, can kind of play everywhere on the field, kind of like Keenan Allen can. Keenan Allen's turned into more of a slot, but I think that, you got to get at least younger at that position. Keenan Allen just seems like he can't stay healthy. Mike Williams can't either. So I think that's where they go. The Ravens are the most interesting team. I seen that Bucky Brooks mock draft had Anthony Richardson here. I don't agree with that. I just don't think the Ravens move on. I think they eventually get the deal done with Lamar Jackson. It just seems like, you just have to do it. So what else do you get? I mean, this is a solid team right now. I mean, you got to get best player available. And in my opinion, Brian Branch is up here. He drops all the way to 22. I think you go after him. Just looking at some guys around here, Cam Smith is a good cornerback. I think that he could go here too. So we're going to go Cam Smith. I like Cam Smith, obviously because, I look at the cornerback group of the Baltimore Ravens, and they're solid right now. Why not add another corner? And I think that the Ravens are just going to keep adding to the defense. That's just their MO, just like the Steelers. The Minnesota Vikings, they're just an interesting team. I don't know what's wrong with the Vikings. Maybe it's Kirk Cousins. Maybe it's just that they were super mediocre. But how do you have a season like you just had where the point differential is actually negative and you have one of the best records in the NFL? It doesn't make any sense to me. I say they add to the defense. I don't think Harrison Smith is getting old, but I do think that they need another young player in the secondary. I mean, if you look at the best defenses in the NFL and you look at the linebackers' ages and the safeties' ages and the cornerbacks' ages, the best defenses, besides maybe, Philly with Darius Slay, they have a bunch of young guys flying around. You look at Pat Surtain, who is one of the best defensive backs in the league. J.C. Horn turning into, elite cornerback. Woolen from the Seahawks. You look at some other safeties. I look at the Broncos, Justin Simmons. I look at other safeties around the league, and you just see youth there, and that's kind of how it goes. And Harrison Smith, like I said, not aging. He's getting old, but he's still got some left, but I think you just need to add another safety here. Brian Branch is the pick. Moving on to the Jacksonville Jaguars, they do have some needs. And looking in the AFC South, I would say that this isn't a division that you need to have elite cornerbacks in. I'm saying that because, the Jacksonville Jaguars are a pass-heavy offense, which is going to prompt other AFC South teams to draft cornerback and have elite cornerback play, but not for the Jaguars. I think they kind of stick around here and pick, the best player available, or, get a guy that they think fits here. And I can't lie, I think they could go receiver. I mean, I look at their receiving core and they're pretty good, but why not add another weapon for Trevor Lawrence? Like, why not? I mean, just keep giving him weapons, but you do need to protect him a little bit. So I do think they probably go offensive line here. So let's just filter and see who are the top tackles. You look at North Dakota State here, and you look at other guys. It's interesting because, after the top players go off the board, so we're talking, Anton Harrison and also Cyrus Torrence, I think there's a kind of a big drop-off. Not a huge drop-off, but it's kind of big. But every year you always get a reach on an offensive lineman. I don't think they're going to go here now. Now that I look at who's available, I don't think they'll go here. And I look at the cornerback group. Yes, they do need cornerback. Kelly Ringo, it should be higher to me. I think that he's a really good player, even though he had kind of a shaky game versus Marvin Harrison Jr. Eli Ricks is interesting too. I still think they might try to add a receiver here. And I look at Jordan Addison and Jackson Smith-Njigba, and Josh Downs is a third to those two. I think they go Jordan Addison. I like Jordan Addison a lot. Evan Ingram brought a new dynamic playmaker to their offense, and I think they kind of got a preview of what they could do with a guy that is athletic at receiver too. So add Jordan Addison, why not? The New York Giants, this is definitely a receiver pick. They need a receiver badly, and Jackson Smith-Njigba is still on the board. He is the top guy left, so we will go with him. I think that Addison could be that pick, though, if I had to kind of guess what's going to happen. It could be, Addison or Jackson Smith-Njigba. I've been hearing teams aren't really that big on Jackson Smith-Njigba. If Zay Flowers drops that low, he's definitely going to the Giants. So the Cowboys. I haven't really seen it in a lot of mock drafts, but I think that Bijan Robinson is the pick here. The success that they had when they drafted Ezekiel Elliott. Bijan Robinson is honestly just as good as Zeke coming out. And you got a good, 6 years out of Zeke that was like elite football. And then there was like a huge drop off, obviously. But I just think that, they add to that offense. And one way to do it is giving them another running back that will be the full-time back. Something tells me that they're not fully committed to Tony Pollard for some reason. And it's kind of telling because, you've seen games this year where Tony Pollard isn't the starter. And we all know that Zeke is a shell of himself. Now, the Bills are hoping that isn't the case, though. They are really hoping that isn't the case because Bijan Robinson would be the perfect fit with the Bills. It's interesting, man. Like, I look at the Bills and I say they need running backs. So I look at the top guys. I really think Jahmyr Gibbs could be the pick here. Even though he is ranked in the top 60 here, not even a first rounder, I think that Jahmyr Gibbs is an incredible running back. Alvin Kamara is the perfect comparison for him in the NFL. This is going to be my one big reach. Jahmyr Gibbs going to the Buffalo Bills. I don't think they can afford to let an elite running back, at least in this draft, drop down to, the early second round where teams might scoop him up. Jahmyr Gibbs, back-to-back running backs. How about that? The Bengals, well, they invested a lot of money in offensive line. I think they just need cornerback. Like, I look at the Bengals and I see Eli Apple is just not there. And I just look at Eli Ricks, Kelly Ringo, Emmanuel Forbes. Forbes, I think, is kind of the lower of the three. I like Ringo a little bit better than Ricks. Ricks is good. I like Ringo. He gives you, honestly, like strength at the cornerback position. I like guys that are good tacklers, guys that can cover as well, but not necessarily guys that are just like freakish athletes. I need guys that, can come up and make tackles, So I like Kelly Ringo. He's definitely my pick at number 28. Only 3 more picks left in this draft. The Saints at number 29. Their top need is quarterback. I could see them going Anthony Richardson, but I don't think that that's going to be what's going to happen. I think that, I look at the Saints and they could be a team in the market for a veteran quarterback. They tried it with Jameis Winston, but Winston just couldn't stay healthy. And then obviously you saw what happened this year. I think they just go, you know, best player available that's not a quarterback. And I look at Trenton Simpson's up here. I really like that pick. I think we're gonna go with Trenton Simpson. I like Trenton Simpson up here. Antonio Johnson is a really good safety too. He could give them, you know, an option there. You know what? We're going Antonio Johnson. Now that I think about it, Antonio Johnson is a guy that you can move around, maybe play a little nickel cornerback as well. I really like him out of Texas A&M, athletic safety. He's going to be the pick. 2 more picks left. The Chiefs, their top need is receiver. I just don't see them getting receiver here. I think they're just going to try to create like a beast of a defense. Like, why not? Like, why not just create a beast of a defense? What do they have to lose here? And I've seen a lot of good things said about Ika here at the bottom of the first round and at the top of the second round. I don't know a ton about him, but I'm just going to mock what I think could happen. I think they go him. And then with the final pick of the first round, the Eagles, who really have no real glaring needs, let's just go up here. And what did we do with the first pick? It was Lucas Van Ness. And now with the last pick, man, they are a very rich team here. Definitely not going quarterback. And they could actually add to that tight end group along with Dallas Goedert. Why not add another guy? I just like Dalton Kincaid the best out of this tight end group after Michael Mayer. I like him a lot. And I believe he is playing in the Senior Bowl too. So watch out for that. And that will be, you know, the mock draft here. Here is what it looks like. Will Anderson going number 1, obviously. Bryce Young number 2. Jalen Carr number 3. CJ Stroud number 4. And Tyree Wilson rounds out the top 5. So that is going to do it here for the first round mock. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below and where you think, you know, obviously made a mistake. And be on the lookout for version 2 of this, and this will be post Super Bowl. So excited to see that version, and hopefully you guys tune in. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hit subscribe, hit that like button. Stay tuned. Let's get it. Let's go.
I like getting money, I got time to get it. Target on me, so my car's a tinted. Dancing with the devil, I don't bargain with it. Bobbing in the dash, and the stick is with it. And I hit the 4-5 on the west side. But I'm from the east side, this how we slide. This how we ride, yeah, this how we ride.